One of those scorching summer afternoons when the neighborhood kids were constantly up to no good. My crew of fearless and clueless buddies decided to check out the creepy, abandoned house that had been standing there for ages, like a forgotten relic. Despite all those spooky stories surrounding the place, they only made it more intriguing. We totally thought we were badass, you know. So, me, Jenny, Mike, and Davey were just chilling outside the building with this old gate making creepy noises in the wind. The house looked totally run down and ancient, with its windows all boarded up and paint that had seen better days. Davey, being the fearless dude he is, dared us to go in. Like we expected, we ain't backing down from a challenge. The door was all messed up, and then we finally got it open. It screeched open like a freaking banshee in the middle of the night. The place was all dusty and full of secrets. We kind of snuck around the place, with our flashlights going crazy and our hearts pounding like we were in a battle. Rooms with old furniture collecting dust and spiderwebs. It felt like the ghosts of the past were still lurking around, but we couldn't turn back now. We had to show our power. We headed upstairs, and man, things got super freaky. We stumbled upon this creepy old man laid down in the corner of the last room down the hallway, all wrapped up in ripped blankets. He looked like a total mess with his crazy eyes and untamed hair. Man, before we could even make sense of his words, he let out this chilling scream that sent shivers down our spines. "Beat it, you little rascals," he shouted. His voice was so irritating, it gave us both chills. It felt like the guy's voice was tearing right through us, man. He just kept on screaming, but even louder this time. We finally mustered the guts to stutter. "Who the heck are you?" But all he did was yell once again. He was pretty scary, but you could see a bit of desperation in his eyes. It made us kind of feel sorry for him. Guess what? That guy was actually homeless and had been crashing that crappy house for who knows how freaking long. He probably saw all sorts of people sneaking in, and that just drove him crazy and filled him with revenge. He was like, "Man, life has really screwed me over. I've got nowhere else to go," as he spilled his guts in his shaky voice. Even though we were super surprised, we didn't want to come off as total jerks. We pinky swore to never spill the beans about him as we casually distanced ourselves. We walked out of the house that day, our hearts still pounding. And not because we were scared. We found out that sometimes the stuff that actually happens can be way scarier than any spooky tale. Throughout the years, we stuck to our promise and didn't spill any beans about the guy living in that empty house. That day, we had a major realization. Creepy things can actually hide some pretty intense and messed up stories of sadness and desperation. The world can be so freaking harsh sometimes, which is why people gotta play it safe and lay low once in a while. I was totally freaking lost, blindly bumbling around those creepy dark woods. All the trees looked the same because the moon was hiding behind the clouds. My phone had kicked the bucket, and all I could hear was a freaky rustling of the leaves. My legs were tired. I had to find something, anything, to help me figure things out. It was my only shot. After what felt like forever, I finally spotted a deserted house with its wonky windows staring out like nighttime peepers. It stood tall like a guiding light, wordlessly calling me in for shelter. I jumped at the chance my tired body gave me and forced open the creaky door. The air in there was so stale and dusty. It's like nobody's taken a breath in ages. The walls had paint that was peeling off, and the whole place was eerily quiet. I figured it was empty, and all I wanted was a spot to give my tired feet a break. I walked into a room with a beat-up couch. Looks like someone else could catch a wink of sleep here. Just as I was getting comfortable, I heard voices coming from another part of the house. I was freaking out when I completely froze. Who else do you think is in here? I couldn't resist and slowly moved towards the voices. As I got closer, I witnessed these two dudes getting into a heated argument. with her words cutting through the silence like sharp knives. Someone shouted, "No way, Jake! This has gone too damn far!" Jake snapped, "I don't give a crap, Mark. He had it coming." When I sneaked a look around the corner, I spotted him chilling in the kind of dim area. Jake was fuming like crazy and clutching a damn gun. Mark looked like he was begging for his life. I could see the desperation in his eyes. I didn't know what to do. My heart was pounding in my chest. At first, I was like, I want to bounce, but my legs were just chilling. I got roped into watching something I never signed up for. And boom, just like that, it hit me. A loud bang shattered the quiet as Jake's hand trembled and pulled the trigger. There was blood all over the messed up carpet when Mark went down. I couldn't tear my eyes away from his vacant gaze. I was totally freaking out, frozen in fear, with my mind going a mile a minute. Even though I knew I had to bounce, it was only when Jake started to dip from the room with a murder weapon still in his grip that my legs gave out. My heart was pounding like crazy as I pulled off, sneaking back into the woods from the house. I was totally lost and freaking out, just going wherever my fear and adrenaline took me. So, I finally made my way back to the real world and spilled the beans to the authorities about what I had seen. Once it got to the creepy old house, they nabbed Jake and spilled the beans on his dark secret. That evening, man, it's gonna be seared into my brain forever. The house was like a ghost town, and the scene I stumbled upon was straight up bone-chilling. It's a spooky reminder that when you're lost, the darkness can expose things you never wanted to see. I can't believe the crazy night when I had to drop off a package at the creepiest place I had ever laid my eyes on. I got major goosebumps, like straight out of a scary movie. So, my boss handed me this package and was like, "Hey, can you drop it off at 13 Blackthorn Lane?" And then he gave me all sorts of detailed instructions on how to get there. I heard through the grapevine that this place was supposed to be cursed, according to the locals. The house had been left alone for so long, it's become a total dump. Even though I had my doubts, I kinda had to do it because I needed the money. I couldn't help but feel this increasing sense of dread as I parked in front of the building. The house was a total mess, with its smashed windows, wild yard, and paint that looked like it had wanted to escape. Even though I was unsure, I had to head to work. As the sun went down, there was a spooky, swirly shadow that looked like a ghost dancing around. I walked up to the entrance, being careful and all. When I shoved the door, the old wood let out a creepy complaint. I walked in and was hit by this gross, funky smell. It was like I was being treated as an unwelcome visitor. I fought the strong desire to bail. The inside was, like, way worse, man. The ceiling had these creepy cobwebs draped all over it. The only thing I could hear was the sound of the floorboards creaking beneath my cautious footsteps. "Hello? Anyone here?" I yelled. In the silence, I could hear myself talking. As I ventured further into the house, my heart was racing like crazy. Even though I knew I had to drop off this package, I was totally freaking out. And then, out of nowhere, I stumbled upon this seriously chilling scene that made my blood turn to ice. It was like the house had some dark secret it was dying to spill the beans on. I stumbled upon a dead body lying on the ground in the low light. It was staring at the ceiling, and its skin was really dry. I totally freaked out and couldn't even scream. I frantically reached for my phone, not even stopping, and dialed 911 in a rush. I tried my best to sound calm while I was telling the dispatcher about the empty house and the dead body. I felt super creeped out, like someone was totally spying on me, while I was just there, waiting for the cops to roll up. The old house was falling apart and made all sorts of creepy noises, like it was haunted or something. It felt like the walls were hiding some seriously messed up secrets. Once the cops showed up, I basically booked it out of that creepy house, clutching the package like my life depended on it. They listened to what I had to say and promised to check it out. I never found out whose dead body it was or what went down in that deserted spot. But I just knew that the fear and panic I felt that night would be with me forever. Every time I drive past 13 Blackthorn Lane, it still gives me chills. That creepy house will always be a chilling reminder that it's best to leave someone's secrets alone.